Okay, we took the phone case off to try this microphone out because the traffic was so bad outside. Hence why we are not in front of the brick wall anymore. I don't know if the microphone made it worse. I feel like it's even though it's like directed at me, I think it's just picking up on the air conditioner, but there isn't really anything I can do about that. We're not turning that thing off. It's Oklahoma in September. Hello, welcome back. When I asked you guys questions on my Instagram about what type of videos you wanted to see, a lot of you guys were interested in my writing process and historical fiction, specifically like how I research for it. So I just thought I would take you guys along, showing you guys what I do. Not a how-to or not necessarily tips, but this is just how I do it. So we're just gonna hop right into this video. So I think it's important to clarify right now that I have been an 18th century geek since I was about 7 years old. So the knowledge of the Revolutionary War is kind of just stamped into my head. Unmasked, I did some research for it, but it wasn't like researching a completely new time period that I'm not familiar with. And I'm going through the process now of researching for a completely different time frame, 1812. So what is, oh shoot. The first step for me is finding a timeline. If your story is taking place in a very popular time frame like the Revolutionary War, World War II, this is going to be easy. You can print these off of Google, and that is usually my starting point if my character is following the events. If my character isn't following the events, it's still handy to have because I love incorporating the politics of the time into my stories. I think it adds another layer of realism and another way to add conflict and to relate to the characters. So the timeline will be helpful no matter what type of story you're writing. But if your characters are following a series of events that are supposed to be time period accurate, this is going to save you a lot of time. And of course, right here in this timeline for 1812, it does not have all the events that occurred in 1812, obviously. So that's when my 28 pages of notes come in. But as you learn more, just add to the timeline. But that's what I do. Definitely one of the first steps that I took in 1812 was, should I show this? One of the first steps was learning, oh my gosh, the clothing. This is a terrible picture. Was learning the clothing.
So, as you know, the tricorn hat has gone out of style to replace with the top hat. The waistcoats look significantly different. Gentleman's style is different in this time frame as the elegance of like the shoes and stuff in the 18th century. It's gone more simplistic thanks to the French Revolution.
I'm probably saying all this wrong and someone's going to come for me at the comments. You want to learn the history behind the fashion, and that was one thing that I do. I take a lot of time to research the little details, because those little details, when you put them together, are going to immerse your reader in a world that they're not familiar with. And it is the little things. They used crunched up clamshells instead of gravel on their roads. It's the clamshell walkway. It's that little detail that's going to just add a visual for what it was like back then. And those are a lot of fun. Honestly, the research for me is very sporadic. You're going to be researching throughout the entirety of your book. I recommend leaving, when you're working on your first draft, to leave those research just in like columns like I need to look more into this, unless if it's something big, because it will actually slow you down. Like save that for second draft, third draft, because you can go down the research rabbit hole very, very, very easily. When I was working on my Yellow Fever project, I had to make an outline of the events myself because I could not find one. Not saying there's not one out there, but my friends will tell you I am awful at finding sources on the internet. But so I would take, if you're having to make your own timeline, start from the date, the first date of your book to the last date of your book, and this is what happened on August 18th, 1773 in my story. You're gonna want the two separate timelines for what happens on the dates in your story and what happened in real life are really going to help you out. So that's what I do, and then I can join them when I'm ready to start the writing process. And that was one thing too. I used to be a pantser, but outlining helped me with figuring out all the historic detail. Unmasked was a nightmare after the first draft, and it was because of I didn't have an outline, and I am learning that I need to have that to fall back onto. Make notes And I know that there's a lot of helpful content on YouTube about the fashion and the way of life. Definitely look into those. You will learn a ton from those people. I usually start with the 3-act story structure to outline my books, but that's a completely different video. This is my research process. It's really super underwhelming. That's it.
Hold up. Can't believe I went through this video without saying Hillsdale College. Their free online courses taught me so much about the 18th century. They have tons of courses. You should go check them out. Editing me here. I know I made that sound very, very, very easy. It's not. I don't want to give off a false impression that that is all that there is to it. There is a lot that ties into researching for any historical fiction novel, and not something that you should go into lightly. It is a lot of work. Back to the video.
And then just a quick side note, since this is about historical research, do not feel pressured to get every little detail right. You are going to have to take some creative liberty. Everybody does it. Even if you had all the information in the world right now that all the historians have and you had it memorized, you'd still get things wrong because things are forgotten and lost to time. As long as you're not changing something that is significant, Unmasked is historically accurate, but the entire scenario is completely made up, and there are lots of historical inaccuracies that I took as liberty, and same with Unlocked and same with book 3. I think the only time you really shouldn't be so willing to throw things out is when you are telling the story of someone's life. Just use common sense with that. You don't want to be disrespectful to that person's legacy. Another fun thing that you can do is you can cook meals, you can learn dances, go and try on clothes, make clothes from that time frame. That's what makes the research process a lot of fun. Hope you guys found something helpful out of this video. I know a lot of people were asking for it, and I'm sorry that that wasn't anything exciting. I really don't do anything crazy. I have a binder that looks like a peacock that has a Google timeline and 28 pages of chicken scratch. So yeah, hope you guys are having a great day. Now go write. Love you guys. Bye. Let's hope this microphone didn't fail me.